Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a full solo playthrough of Dinosaur World. I have everything set up for the solo game. There are a couple of changes. Normally you would have a different set of objective cards. Here we have the solo objective cards. I drew 8, and then you could discard up to 3, and I've chosen to do that. So I have these 5 objectives that I'm going to be trying to complete during the game. I also drew 2 random specialist cards. Also at the start of the game, you draw 2 special buildings and 2 dinosaur paddocks, and you choose one of each, which I've already done here. So I'm starting with an amber extraction facility and a velociraptor pen. I was also able to start the game with one of these 5 bonus upgrades, and I chose to get 2 extra bucks, so that's why I'm starting with 10 money. If you don't know how to play the game, don't worry, I'm going to explain everything as I go. Let's just go ahead and get started. So the first thing you do in the solo game is you draw the top card from this AI deck. Now we're ignoring the objective part, we're just looking at this part down here. We then would resolve this dinosaur movement area, but since I have no dinosaurs in my park yet, we can skip that. Now this next part shows us how many dice to draw from the dice bag. And right there it says 3. So we're gonna draw 3 dice. And we're gonna roll them. Now when we go to the gather DNA spot, we'll be able to gather some DNA that's shown on those dice. The next thing we do is take this deck of cards and draw 2. Now we get to pick one, and that's gonna be our workforce for this round. Those 2 are remarkably similar. I guess I'll take this one so I can get a green worker instead of 2 blue. There are my workers. Now we get to take public actions. We're first going to take public actions, then we're going to take private actions, then we're going to move our Jeep around to activate our tiles on our board, and then there'll be a cleanup phase. The different kind of public actions that we can take are on this handy dandy card right here. So we can either gather DNA, we can build an attraction, we can build a paddock, or we can build a special building. And some of these places will give us bonuses depending on the type of worker that we send there. For example, in the gather DNA spot, we actually get a bonus for sending a scientist. And we don't want to spend all of our workers here in the public action phase because we're going to need them to take private actions and to put on these tiles. So we pretty much have to plan out everything we want to do with these workers right now. One thing we definitely want to do is get some DNA so that we can make a velociraptor. Now it shows here on the tile exactly what kind of DNA we need. So there at the top, it shows a yellow and a red basic DNA and an orange advanced DNA. And then on that leftmost spot, it doesn't show any extra DNA. So our first velociraptor is just going to cost those 3 at top. But if we want to do a second one, we're going to need to also spend an extra orange. Out here, we have the ability to get 3 red DNA. And also this one gives us an orange and a blue advanced DNA. We can send 1 to 3 workers, and we'll get 1 to 3 times the amount of DNA shown on one of those dice, whichever die we choose. And then in addition, if you send a blue worker, you'll get an additional DNA of your choice. So I think we definitely want to send this blue worker to gather some DNA so we can get exactly what we need to do one of these velociraptors. So let's spend this guy right there. And we'll use this die here. Now we could send more than 1. Yeah, I tell you what, we'll send 2. So we'll also spend this white guy. So we'll be able to get 2 orange and 2 of the purple. Oh, and because we sent a blue worker, we also get an additional DNA of our choice. Ooh, let's get an additional yellow. Okay, now because we started with some DNA, we now have quite a bit of DNA here. We can make a number of velociraptors, but we won't be able to do that until we take some private actions. And looks like we can spend any worker we want to be able to make the velociraptors. So what else do we want to do out here? We probably want to get another tile, and there are a couple here that are interesting. This raptor pen seems really interesting because it would really work well with my velociraptor paddock. This says that for each yellow worker that I were to put on this, I can choose an adjacent tile, and I'll score victory points for each of the purple dinosaurs there. Okay, I think I'm most interested in this raptor culinary experience. So that's going to cost $4. Now with this tile, we can actually create a velociraptor to go in here. And then when we visit it, we can pay a purple worker to then gain some excitement and 5 victory points. We'll also have to roll the threat die. So I think we're going to place that right here. Now we also have to spend a worker, so I'll spend this guy. Now I think I'm going all in on these raptors, and I see here there is a microraptor haddock that I could get. That's going to cost $2, and normally it would cost any 2 workers, but if you use a green worker, you only need to spend 1. So we'll use our green worker and spend $2 to get this. So we're going to be creating a bunch of raptors. This is going to be Raptor Park. We only have $4 left. We could get a restaurant or a roller coaster. Now, to get tiles in the central area, you don't need workers. You just have to spend the cost. But there is a restriction. You can only have 1 of each tile. So you can't have 2 roller coasters or 2 restaurants. Yeah, I think I'll buy a roller coaster for 2. And I'm going to put it right here. That's going to give 2 excitement for each adjacent tile, which right now will only be 2, but hopefully I'll be able to build around it. Okay, so I think that's all I want to do for the public actions. So now we're going to go over into the private actions. And this is where I get to use these spots on my board right here. DNA refinement, which basically lets you switch around some of these DNA. You can also make dinosaurs, which is something I'm definitely going to do. You can increase your security, and then you can also increase your Jeep capacity, basically how far your Jeep can move around. And then you can also just go and get a little extra money. Each of these spaces on the board has 3 spots for workers, so you can do any one of these at most 3 times in a round. I think one thing we really want to do is get some velociraptors, and I'd really like to increase our Jeep by 2 if possible. Now you can use any worker, but if you use a purple worker, it costs 1 less. I want to save 1 purple worker for my raptor culinary experience, but I do think I'll use 1 of them here to increase for free, because normally it would cost 1, but because I get a discount of 1, that would be free. And then I want to do it again, so we'll use this guy. We'll move up here. It will cost 2, but now that we've moved up to the next level, our Jeep can now move 3 spaces. And we get to immediately put another bonus token down. And I want to put this one down. This is going to immediately give me a worker of my choice. And I want a blue one. That scientist is going to come in handy for when we visit the amber extraction facility. Without any security, we might not want to make too many dinosaurs here because we're going to start getting threat. Forgot about the threat. Okay, I tell you what. Instead of getting a scientist, we're going to get a yellow worker this time. And we're going to use that yellow worker to increase our security by 1. And again, because we used a yellow worker, we get a discount. So that's not going to cost anything. And you know what? We'll do it again to get our security up to level 2. And now we'll use this purple worker just to make 1 dinosaur. We'll go ahead and we'll put it right here. So this is going to cost us a yellow DNA, a red DNA, and an orange DNA, but nothing more. And we've just made a velociraptor. So here he is, looking really cute. And we'll put him in this pin right here. Now we immediately have to get 2 threat, and we make 4 points. And there we go. We're out of workers. So I think we just move on to the Jeeple tour phase, where we get to move our Jeep around and activate spots. Now, we're not going to be able to activate too many this turn because we have no workers to place into these special buildings. But visiting the dinosaur spaces don't require workers to activate. So I think we'll be going there. So we move over there. We place a marker to show that we moved from that tile and we can't return there this round. And now that we've moved in here, we get to activate this spot. So we immediately get the excitement that's on the tile. Since we have one Velociraptor, we only get one excitement. We then have to increase the boredom because now that people have seen this before, it's not quite as exciting. So you take one of these tiny, tiny little tokens and you place it right here. So now we're really going to need to add more Velociraptors there to increase the excitement level because people are already starting to get bored of my Velociraptors. And now we have to do a danger roll, which means rolling the appropriate colored die. So in this case, we're rolling the purple one. It has 3 blank sides, 2 1-death sides, and then 2 death sides. So we're basically rolling to see how many people have died looking at my Velociraptors. All right, no deaths. There you go. Beautiful. At the moment, we can't really activate anything, so I think that's it for our Jeeple tour. Kind of not very exciting, but what can you do? So now we've reached the income and cleanup phase. The first thing we do is we return our Jeep to the welcome center, take back our little movement tokens there. We now get all of our bonuses that we've been able to put out here. So I'm going to get 2 money and a meeple of my choice. I'm going to take a purple. We now get coins based on where we are in the excitement track. Since I only have 1 excitement, I'm only getting 1 coin. We then reset our excitement back to 0. And we return all of our workers that we've used to the supply. So all of these guys clear off. And if we had used any on our park areas there, we could have done that as well. Now we compare our security and our threat levels. And if our threat had been higher than our security, we would gain a death token for each one. But since ours are the same, we don't lose anybody. Oh, and I forgot, I should have refilled these when I bought stuff from them. And now we see how many of these buildings are going to go away and be replaced by new ones. And we look on the card here. So it says we're going to remove all 4 special buildings and just get 4 new ones. And here we're going to lose all 3 of our paddocks and get 3 new ones. So I'll do that now. We also return these to the dice bag. And we advance the round marker. That space is there just to remind you to reset your excitement level. And now we go to round 2.